Let's talk to Stef Wolff now, Professor of International Security at the University of Birmingham. Stef, welcome. Good to see you. How important is a mineral deal to bringing about peace and ending the war in Ukraine?
I think it's very critical to keep the process moving. You have had your various correspondents outline sort of the broad parameters of the various negotiations that are currently going on. And what's very clear at the moment is that in order for Ukraine to basically keep foot in the door, they need to come to some sort of agreement with Donald Trump over at least this framework agreement, as Zelensky called it, on a minerals deal, so that further negotiations then can happen to actually hammer out the exact detail of how this is going to materialize. Whilst Trump, on the other hand, then will probably go on with his negotiations with Russia. And so these two ultimately will need to align. So unless Zelensky makes a deal now, I think he will have even worse cards to play when it comes to the big peace agreement that Trump has promised.
How much could this minerals deal with the United States change the balance of power in the region?
I don't think it's so much about the balance of power per se. I think not having a deal, that would probably be really detrimental, because it would basically leave nothing there for the US to be engaged in. So in that sense, not having a deal, that would potentially change the balance of power quite significantly. What the deal might do is put actual US investment and corporate interests much more into Ukraine. And I think that will then also provide an incentive for Trump in one way or another to provide some sort of a security guarantee for a future peace agreement that Zelensky is obviously desperate to get.
Mr. Trump's critics often say that he's transactional and short-term. He will only be in power for a few years, 4 years or so. I mean, exploiting Ukraine's mineral wealth is going to take ages. It's deeply complex, isn't it? What's the long-term objective here for Trump?
Well, the long-term objective is basically to get his hands, or America's hands, on the rare earths and critical minerals that Ukraine has. As one of your earlier correspondents noted, I mean, at the moment it's about 90% of all the critical minerals are being produced by China. So obviously, the long term here is to balance supply chains globally, diversify markets. So in that sense, it's not so much whether Trump will financially get anything out of this in the next 3 or 4 years whilst he is still in office, but rather to make sure that there is sort of a long-term alternative to Chinese supplies in this area.
How much of Ukraine's mineral wealth is still under Ukraine's control rather than Russia's territorial control?
Well, that is the $64,000 question, if you want. I mean, the data that we have available are primarily drawn from Soviet-era geological surveys, so probably 30, 40, 50 years old. So that is a problem in itself. And what we know from those data is that a lot of the rare earths and critical minerals that are basically at the heart of this deal, they are either beyond the front line on the Russian side of currently occupied Ukrainian territories, or they are in very close proximity to the front line. So that too will add complications in terms of not just how much stuff, if you want, is there, but also how much of it is accessible and potentially in what time frame.
Stef Wolff, good to see you, and thank you for your time. Stef Wolff, the Professor of International Security at the University of Birmingham.